So the refresh of the PS5 is here. We have the PS5 in its new slim body, and we are going to take a look at it and its differences in today's video. If you are a PlayStation fan, drop a like on this video and consider subscribing, but for now, let's get into it. First up, the unboxing experience. It's pretty average and nothing too different from unboxing a normal PS5. However, I can appreciate the effort PlayStation go to make everything environmentally friendly and recyclable, down to the cable wire twists. In the box, you get the power cable, the included plastic stands, more on that later, a HDMI cable, DualSense controller, USB-C to C charge cable, warranty and safety booklets, and the unit itself. Now that it's out of its packaging, let's take a closer look at the body of the console. PlayStation have made the volume of this model 30% less and the weight 18 and 24% less, depending on the model. Side by side, you can see the difference in size, but I actually don't think it's that noticeable when you're looking at the unit on its own, or if you're not too familiar with the bigger model. The cover plate design is now different with 4 plates instead of 2. There are 2 glossy panels and 2 matte panels, which is a strange choice, but I actually think they look good in person. I'm excited to see new cover plate packs come out for this model, but I just hope that they're not any more expensive than what the bigger model cover plate packs cost, given that the fact that there are 4 plates now instead of 2. On the underside of the unit, if you are laying it flat, there are now these PlayStation shapes, which is a nice little touch, and it does help with laying the console flat. The biggest difference that this console brings, other than the size, is a bigger onboard storage and the ability to detach the disk drive. The bigger PlayStation model has an 825GB SSD without factoring in the system software and pre-installed apps. So you're actually getting less space, which makes the need for a larger SSD very important. This model has a 1TB onboard storage, so you're most likely getting close to that original 800GB capacity. However, the ability to upgrade your storage with an M.2 SSD is still here, and it's something that I recommend. I have 2 drives myself, with the WD Black SN850 for the PS5 and the Samsung 980 Pro. I was gifted both of these drives, but I do prefer the Samsung purely because it is cheaper. Installing the drive is the same as the original model, however the location is slightly different. You need to take off the top panel that's above the disk drive panel to find the compartment, but from there it's the same process of removing the metal plate, removing the screws and spacer, and slotting your drive in. Once it's secured and you've closed the compartment, turning the console on will prompt the SSD formatting, and from there, you now have X amount of extra storage, depending on what size drives you buy. I have the 1TB. So I mentioned that the disk drive is detachable. So there's still the option to buy a disc or a digital console, but the advantage here is if you do buy a digital console and one day want to play physical games, you can actually buy the disk drive separately. If you get the disk drive like I did, you can remove it. However, I see no point in doing this because once you do remove it, you are not given a replacement cover plate to make it look like a digital console. It still looks like a disc console. I'm not too sure if you can use the disk drive on a separate PS5 Slim because it does need the internet to be set up, so I'm not too sure if it locks to this console or not. But removing it is so straightforward, and it involves removing the cover plate and just pulling the drive out from the little arrow and indent for your finger. It's so simple, but I just don't know why you would take it off and detach it. So if you have an opinion on this, let me know in the comments because I really want to know what you think. The last big difference is the ports on the front of the PS5. Instead of the USB-C and USB-A port on the front, you now get 2 USB-C ports, and the USB-A ports now live on the back of the console alongside the Ethernet, HDMI, and power ports. The HDMI port has risen higher on the console, and I personally don't like it because when the console is standing up in a vertical position, the cable sticks out of the back so much and it looks stupid. When you have the console laying flat though, it's not noticeable. Speaking of laying the console flat, included in the box are these plastic stands. Before I saw these in person, I was pretty mad about them removing the stand that does turn your console from vertical to horizontal. But now that I have seen these, they're actually not too bad as they just clip into the base of the console. They're pretty sturdy and secure once they're in there, so it's not too bad. You do have the option to buy a vertical stand separately. However, I won't be doing this because the console actually stands up on its own pretty well. I don't feel like it's going to fall over, It's pretty secure. I also don't think you actually need it for that reason. So should you upgrade to the new PS5 Slim? I don't think you need to, unless you are, for the first time, buying a PS5. I purchased this because one, I wanted to do a video on it, and secondly, I needed a second console for the studio, so this is living here. I wasn't actually going to buy one of the bigger models as my second console. I purposefully waited for a refresh. PlayStation have said that this model will replace the bigger one once stock sells out, as they actually won't be restocking it anymore. But if you already have a PS5 and you're not too bothered by the gargantuan size of it, I'd be waiting for a Pro model to release to upgrade. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next video, because I'll see you then.